It's Pacers 3, Bucks 1. Is it over, or can the Bucks surge late in this series? It's a Locked On Pacers, Locked On Bucks mid-series-ish crossover today on Locked On Pacers and Locked On Bucks.
You are Locked On NBA crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to a Locked On crossover. It's Locked On Pacers and Locked On Bucks for the second time in 2 weeks to take stock of a series that is sad. It's sad because of injuries, and it's the second straight year that we're doing this on 3-1 terms. I'm Tony East. I host Locked On Pacers. With me today from Locked On Bucks, Camille Davis. Camille, we got to quit doing it in these circumstances. We have like a healthy 2-2 conversation next time we do this or something.
That was my hope. I was like, man, after game 3, I was like, the Bucks have figured something out. Like, I can see the momentum going. They're going to win game 4 at home, go back to Indy. It's going to be a tie series, best of 3. And then Dame blew out his Achilles, like with 5.5 minutes left in the first quarter. And the crazy thing about it is that almost a year to the day in this Pacers series last year is when he had strained his Achilles and he was out for the rest of that series then. And this year, just completely, tore the Achilles. So he is out for the rest of the playoffs. It's a long recovery for that. So, our post-game episode after game 3 or game 4 was very somber of just what this era of Bucks basketball has been since they won the championship, the injuries that have befell them, and also just heart out to Dame for everything that he's been going through to be in the situation now.
I'm jealous of Nuggets Clippers because that is okay. So this is related to Pacers Bucks listeners, I promise, because I guess you could call the Aaron Gordon dunk controversial, but I think most people thought it was in time by fractions of a second. It's the only series that has not had officiating or injury nonsense, early in the series of the series that people thought could go one way or the other, right? Obviously, no one cares that Cavs eats 3-0. There's no controversy in that. That series has gone back and forth, and the better team has won the games. That's what it's all about. And Dame's hurt. Every Pistons Knicks game is the refs didn't do what. Every Wolves Lakers game is the refs didn't do what. Can we just? We're getting robbed of good playoffs. Look, Camille, I'm going to ask this exactly what I mean by it. Do you think this is over already because of the injury, or can the Bucks actually do something here?
I mean, in all intents and purposes, technically, it's still a chance for this team. They can still win. Only 13 teams have come back from a 3-1 deficit and won a series. So the stakes are high against them. Can it be done? Yes. Based off what we have seen from this team throughout this series so far, my confidence level in them being able to rattle off 3 straight wins, that's a bit more challenging because this is a very good Pacers team. And the Bucks I have thought, have not executed well throughout this series. And if you don't execute well, this Pacers team is going to take advantage of that time in and time again. And we've been seeing that throughout the series. So technically, it's still a chance. The Bucks have to face this as take it one game at a time. Win game 5, forget about 6 and 7 right now, just one game at a time, and then see what you can do with that. But it's a tall task in front of them to try to do that. It doesn't feel super realistic for it to happen, but it could. But because you have Giannis, and if you have Giannis, things can always turn a certain way if you have a good shooting game from some other role players. But it's going to be a tall task for this Bucks team, which makes me feel like it's not super realistic to see them coming out of this series as the victors.
Even if you view every game just as a coin flip the rest of the way, that means it's a 1 in 8 chance the Bucks win the series, right? That's low odds. It's hard, and they are now missing their second best player, right? That it's not, but I don't think it's over. One, because I was there last year. We talked about it. Going to game 5 in Milwaukee, no Dame, no Giannis. Yeah. Everybody thought it was going to end that night, and the Pacers tripped all over themselves, and the Bucks and Chris Middleton won. They won. They found a way to win. And all of a sudden, it was oh boy, Dame came back for game 6. Oh boy, it did not end up going that way for the Bucks. But you just never know what circumstance can pop up or how a series can shift. And I think a lot of the 3-1 comebacks are in our lifetime because in the area of 3-point variance, it's more plausible now. It's still challenging, and throughout. So the best stretch the Bucks had all series was Giannis, Dame, and 3 shooters in game 3 in the second half. Obviously, that's not possible anymore, but they still have had success with groups we talked about before the series, which is Giannis and Portis and Trent and AJ Green and the ball handler. And that's still possible to do, whether it's Rollins or KPJ or whoever. So, like, there's still one. Giannis is playing. Yikes, that guy's amazing. Like, it was stunning to me. He had 8 points at halftime of game 4 because he's been so good this whole series. But that lineup has still been good and threatening enough. Like, the Pacers dodged some bullets at the end of game 1. That group got it to 2. Like, that game ends up, I think, being probably the swing game of the series, depending on how the rest of this goes. Like, that is threatening enough that the Pacers still have to execute. Like, this is not going to be easy to me, even though the odds are obviously, to me, heavily in their favor.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. Like, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy to put the Bucks out necessarily. It's not going to be easy for the Bucks to find a way to win the series. But it's really ironic thinking about it, because coming into this series, I was under the impression that Damian Lillard would not play for the Bucks in this series. And I thought that based on how the Bucks closed the season, finding some things that worked with their lineup combinations, the way that Giannis was playing, like, I was like, I think this team without Dame still has a shot at winning the series. I was like Bucks in 6, maybe 7, but Bucks in 6 felt right to me going into the series. And then Dame came back. The energy shifted a little bit of just like the boost that you get from Dame being back. They win that game 3 in Milwaukee. And then you get deflated with Dame going out in game 4 with everything that he's had to go through. But the Bucks have pieces that make sense. The things that have confuddled me so far through this series, some of the lineup choices from the Bucks that they were rolling out there. I've been somebody who's been a big Brook Lopez fan, big Brook Lopez cheerleader throughout the season. And this is just not a Brook Lopez series. And when we did our initial preview, I mentioned, like,
I thought it would be. I was wrong.
Yeah, just a little too slow. And I figured with the Pacers' ability to space the floor out, they would just continue to attack Brook. And they did. And we saw some poor point of attack defense as well. Taurean Prince was guilty of that a lot of times. And we saw in game 3, he only played 3 minutes in that game where the Bucks went on to get the victory. So I think that there are some lineup things that the Bucks have to continue to tinker with. I think a little less Brook Lopez, less TP, less Kyle Kuzma, more of the shooters, more of the AJ Greens, the Gary Trent Jr.'s, Kevin Porter Jr., Bobby Portis. And honestly, I would like to see a little bit more Jericho Sims with Giannis. And I know offensively, the spacing is a question with those two on the floor, but for the Bucks in this series, their defense has been a big problem for them trying to slow down the Pacers. So I love to see that front court combination of those two with their ability to switch and move against the Pacers.
I enjoyed you guys talking about that Sims-Giannis combo after game 4, because I look up at the start of the fourth quarter, I'm like, Sims and Brook Lopez? What is Doc? Pat Connaughton, what is Doc doing? And then it worked. They cut into the deficit. I was like, what just happened? What was that? Like, Sims has done, I get why he's very challenging to play because of the spacing concerns you guys talked about. Like, does he go farther than 10 feet from the rim? Like, he probably shouldn't. But if he can cook it up that much, like, try it, I guess.
At this point, try it.
What do you got to lose at this point? I could not believe it when I was like, that group just cut the deficit from 21-17. And I get the Pacers didn't have Siakam or Haliburton on the floor, but that group seems like it should be like helpless to score. They did fine. So that is what Doc will have to do next, is be creative. And I thought it was very telling that he started Bobby Portis the second half of game 4 after not changing the starting lineup at the center spot. He's changed the lineup every game for whatever reason, injuries, or just changing it until game 4. So, I mean, that tips to me that Bobby Portis is going to start at the 5 in game 5, and he's been eons better than Brook Lopez, and he's making shots, and he's interjecting life into games for various reasons. He's been chanted at every game. Don't ask me the specifics of those chants, but he's been chanted at every game. So yeah, that is what Doc will have to figure out, is like, can he put together 48 minutes now without Dame? Because this is the other thing I've had to say, like, Dame hasn't made shots. It's still very obvious he's helped the Bucks. Like, the Pacers are glued to him on the perimeter. And game 3, like, you could tell me if I'm crazy, that's the best defense I've ever seen him play ever. Like, maybe he's played better defensive games than that, but I never have seen them myself. So it's still a big loss that they have to overcome, even with him not making shots. And you're right. There's been some lineups that's like, what's Doc doing? Why did he still start that group? That they'll have to get creative for, I think.
Yeah, they will. And when Dame came back, there were times where there was no Dame or Giannis on the court. And I was like, so confused. Like, isn't the point of having the two superstars is so that you can always have at least one of them on the court at all times? But Now with this Dame injury, you have to go back to trying to figure out how you're going to make those non-Giannis lineups work. So I guess he got a little bit more practice with that based on some of the lineups that he's thrown out there. But something I would love to talk about maybe in the next segment too. I saw this theory that was posed with how the new CBA is affecting teams and whatnot, of just how it's like a weak link sport at this point, where for years,
I read this also.
Yeah, for years, if you had the best player in the series, it was like, we're going to win because that's how it was going to carry out. But now you're only as strong as your weakest link. And the Pacers' depth, I think, has been so beneficial for them throughout this series, with so many different guys being able to contribute. So just getting your perspective on this Pacers team, how they're built, and just how many different guys can come in and really contribute to winning ways for this team.
Let's talk some weak links in just a moment. Before we do that, let's talk about the good people over at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account, wonder, where the heck did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That is where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. They have so many insights that people love, so they can realize how much they're spending on things that are like food delivery. Maybe it's too much. They can budget smarter and save more. Their all-in-one convenience makes it so you don't have to juggle multiple apps. You can check your finances, track your spending, and even plan long-term in one place. Plus, easy collaboration with your partner, setting goals with your personal accounts in one place is so easy and less stressful. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50%. Woo! 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Back here crossing it over on Locked On Pacers and Locked On Bucks. Camille, I was also reading about the weak link theory. I still think that the prevalence of best player matters the most, but there is a point, and the Bucks have hit it, I think, where they can't avoid a lineup where there's someone who is either ineffective on offense or defense, and that just helps the other team schematically so much, whether it's easier to load up on Giannis because this player can't shoot, or it's easier to score because this guy can't execute your switching scheme the same way everybody else can. And the Pacers having depth for the second year in a row, and I'll give them credit. I thought the Pacers would play an 8-man rotation because they had some rough bench games the last couple months of the season. They've been able to play 10, and their only game they played the bench, I thought, too much. Thomas Bryant played 21 minutes in game 3, and they lost. When they avoid the weak links, they do well. So I have read about this, and I think it's a thing that is totally impacting the series.
I agree. And for this Bucks team this year, it's such an interesting comparison between the Pacers and the Bucks, because this is a Pacers team that looks a lot like it did last year. Meanwhile, this is a Bucks team that made some real wholesale changes around Dame and around Giannis. I mean, no Chris Middleton, and what they did to try to change that. I know Pacer fans are probably ecstatic that there's no Chris Middleton in this series.
Could this have gone worse for the Bucks? Could that trade have possibly gone worse?
The Kuzma Middleton trade?
Yeah. I get the idea of adding athleticism. The Bucks needed that, but they've needed decidedly not Kuzma in this series so far. I feel like
it's really interesting to kind of think about, right? Because the thing with Chris Middleton now is that the lateral quickness wasn't there. On defense, he was somebody who's getting targeted at this point in his career. It's not the same Chris Middleton that you even saw in the playoffs last year. The ankle surgeries have done something even more to his lateral movement. He is going to be attacked. But what he gave you offensively of just being that playmaker, being able to create for others, create his own shot, that was still there. And now you're missing that. So when you trade in Kyle Kuzma there, the idea is that you get more versatile defensively. You're able to do more there, which the Bucks are. That is 100% true. It's just that on the other side of the ball, how teams are defending Kyle Kuzma and what he's going to be giving you offensively is proven to be a challenge for the Bucks. And on top of that, one of the things that we were talking about or heard when Kyle Kuzma was acquired by the Milwaukee Bucks is that he's somebody who can possibly finally unlock the Giannis at 5 lineups, with him playing the 4 next to Giannis, then being able to kind of crash the glass, be fast. And we haven't even really seen those lineups too often either.
At all. Hardly at all.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And he's picked on kind of on both ends. They're willing to his man, because he's a forward. That's a forward-sized player who is now very often helping on the Giannis assignment because they're not afraid of Kuzma jumpers. And his defense is like fine, I guess. I don't like it's been better than I guess the perception of his defense, but it's not so good that it's like, oh, we can't go at Kuzma, we're screwed. Like he is not. He's not like a weak link, I would say, but certainly someone the Pacers aren't like afraid of, right? It's not changing their plan as much as a lot of other guys, and that's mattered quite a bit. Without Dame, do you think it's as simple as Rollins gets minutes, KPJ gets more minutes, or is there going to be more to this than I just said?
Well, I thought it was interesting that Doc did throw Pat Connaughton out there
I did too.
in game 4, which, I didn't expect Pat to really find himself back into the rotation, even after dropping 43 in the regular season finale. But I think that it probably still will be a combination of Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. And we might just honestly continue to see more Kevin Porter Jr., who I thought in the first 2 games in particular in Indiana, they were not kind to Kevin Porter Jr. His first taste of the playoffs just did not play well. Looks like he finally did discover something a little bit in game 4.
Yeah.
And he was somebody who was continuously just trying to keep the energy of the team up of like, we got to keep going, y'all. You saw him on the court calling guys out after blown assignments. You saw Kevin Porter Jr. really stepping into that. So he is somebody I think is going to continue to be really big for the Bucks. And you might just see those minutes continue to be spread. Maybe more AJ Green, Gary Trent Jr., just spreading those minutes out amongst some of those other guards the Bucks have on their bench.
Yeah, I wonder who it'll be. The one Bucks role player who's on fire from 3 has been a fun thing.
They need it
throughout the series. Who's it going to be in game 5? AJ once, Bobby once, Gary was that wasn't even on fire. I don't know what terms we need, but game 3, Gary Trent hit like a new thing. I don't know if I've said it before. Yeah, like
that was a fun one. That was a fun one. Especially I was actually at the NFL draft during game 3. Nice. So I was like standing there with the game on my phone and was like friends and strangers, communal activity of watching Gary Trent Jr. just go absolutely ridiculous in that game.
I remember, I forget when it was in the 3rd quarter. I'm like flipping through the box score. I'm like, he has more points than the Pacers this quarter. Like
even at the end of the quarter.
Yeah, it was crazy to hear all the TV people in Fiserv be like, oh, he tied a Ray Allen record. I'm like, Ray Allen? Oh my God. Like, this is crazy. Yeah, they might just have to because what they did at the end of game 2 that I thought was interesting, well, Dame was on the floor. Dame was, and I get that he was recovering from an injury, just like planted in the corner. Like someone go hold Damian Lillard's jersey and don't let him get open. And then Giannis brought it across the timeline every time with all those shooters out there. And part of me wonders if Rollins won't cut it because he's actually played okay in this series, but he's not so threatening with his shot, or if KPJ goes back to throwing it all over the gym or his defense isn't there, if they'll just be like, yep, Giannis, you're the point guard. We need shooters and defense out there instead, and we're down 3-1. We're desperate. We have to do it. And then they could go like Trent, Green, Portis, and Connaughton, or your big idea with Sims. Like they could do that or something, but that is something that's the last kind of adjustment button I'm curious about now that Dame is done for the series.
Yeah, and I mentioned, I think it was before game 3 or after game 3. But I was like, I'm not even sure if the Bucks necessarily to make big adjustments outside of who they're playing in the rotation.
Yeah.
And for them, I thought it was obviously the do better button. Like you have to execute.
The Pacers did it in game 4. Yeah.
Yeah. In game 4, it was so many times where you would see Bucks players looking at one another, putting their hands up of like, I thought you were going to be here. I thought you were going to be here. And at this point in the season, you can't have those type of conversations going on where you're unsure and you're having breakdowns on what's supposed to be happening defensively. And again, for the Bucks, a lot of it I felt for them is the do better button. Guys not closing out to shooters in the corners, just letting them shoot. Oh. It's just too much of that where it felt like you got this is no longer a regular season game in January, guys. Every possession matters. You have to get out there. So I think for the Bucks, a lot of it is just you have to execute better. And the best execution we've seen of the Bucks was the one game that they were able to win in the series, because even with Gary Trent Jr. making 9 threes in that game, and I believe AJ Green had 4 of them, the Bucks made 15 threes as a team, and only 2 of them were not from Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green in game 3. So for me, when people were pointing out shooting variance in that game, I was like,
below their average. Yeah.
I was like, you won't probably see Gary Trent Jr. do that again, but you can see the Bucks, knock down 37% of their threes in the game. Yeah. So they just have to execute better. And again, if they have the right lineups and the guys out there, I think Doc needs to just continuously ride out what's working in that game against the Pacers.
Yeah, and defense will be a big solve because that 3rd quarter stretch when they got to 8 or 9 was nice. And then they just 3 possessions in a row, Ben Shepherd and Obi Toppin are just like the same corner, the same exact spot. No, not a defender in sight. And I like on 2 of them, they didn't even get out at all. It's like,
just let them shoot.
It wasn't giving up. It takes a Herculean effort to score as much as they did to keep up in that quarter. But like that was just a killer, stretch. I want to ask you something when we come back in just a second, which is, I think we both thought this would be a closer series, even when Dame was playing to this point. What has gone differently than we expected in the series? Coming up here on this Locked On Pacers, Locked On Bucks crossover. Before we do that, we need to talk about the lovely folks over at Wayfair. Spring is here. It's home project season. Whether you're refreshing a room or tackling a full renovation, Wayfair is the best kept secret for all things home improvement, from small updates like stylish cabinet hardware to major upgrades like new vanity sinks or outdoor lighting. Wayfair has quality products for every budget. I just upgraded my bathroom area, and Wayfair helped a lot. Got some shelves from there. They're free, fast shipping, made it so easy. No hauling heavy items from the store. I love that they have top brands like GE and Moen at great prices. Shopping is seamless. You can find exactly what you need to fit your space and style. Wayfair makes home improvement easy. Get started now at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Let's wrap up here on Locked On Pacers and Locked On Bucks. Maybe not wrap up. Maybe we'll talk to each other again if these next 2 games go the Bucks' way. Camille, I want to go first here because I picked the Pacers in 7. I think if Dame was healthy the whole series, I still would have picked that, but with less confidence. But I have been stunned at, 3.5 games, basically everything but the second half of game 3, how easy it has been for the Pacers to get like whatever shot they want. For like, I know the Bucks defense isn't elite, but it was top 12. It was very good after their 2-8 start. Like, I have been amazed how easy offense has come for the Pacers this series in a way that is like, obviously that's why they're up 3-1, but even covering this team for the last 2 years, knowing how good their offense is, even I'm like, wow, this is the playoffs. It shouldn't be this easy, but they've done a great job.
Yeah, that has stood out to me as well. Just how easy it's been. And even game 4, where the Bucks would seem like they're getting some momentum, but they just could not stack enough stops against this Pacers team to meaningfully cut into the lead. So yeah, that's been one thing that stood out to me. But the other side of that, honestly, is just how well, and this is probably like, well, a little jealousy here of how well the Pacers have executed in this game. Like, going into it, I knew that the Pacers were an improved defensive team from what they were last year. But man, the timing of the doubles, like switching that up, how hard they're rotating on shooters, just how connected they have been on defense so far has been like, wow, okay, this Pacers, like, they came to play and they understand their assignment and they are attacking it wholeheartedly. I thought that a lot of it was going to be like the Pacers really can't stop Giannis. And prior to game 4, it really felt that way. I thought that the Pacers did a fantastic job in the first half of game 4 on Giannis. He did have a big third quarter there. But again, I was like, a lot of it's like, Giannis, how do you stop Giannis? And he's had a fantastic series. One thing I did not expect was for, at times, the 3-point shooting to abandon the Bucks. But more than anything else is the point that you made, which was that the Bucks defense just has not been able to execute properly throughout this series. That has been the biggest disappointment for me throughout this one so far, because as you mentioned, like, this Bucks defense has shown some flashes. They saw some signs consistently throughout the year. For most of the year, the defense was actually outpacing their offense, which was surprising on many different levels. So to see the effort and just the execution in the playoffs and how they're attacking things, it's been very disappointing.
So the defense on Giannis is fascinating because they're doing how I thought they would try to do it. Like, I talked with you guys pre-series about Tibbs's quote where he said we can't defend Cade the same way every time. We'll have to mix it up. And that's what the Pacers have done to Giannis. They have 4-5 switch. They double in the post. They send the wall when he's barreling up the floor. Every time he turns around with a defender on his hip, I go, oh boy, here he comes. You know, it's so hard to do. But I figured let's pretend they have all these coverages and that's great. They mix it up. They make it hard. Like, you're going to have breakdowns if you're mixing it up all the time. And they did, I thought, in the second half of game 2, which is, most people don't look at game 2 as a Pacers defense bad moment, but like, he had a few times where he's just like walk to the rim. Like, that's the shot you're trying to prevent. But in general, I'm like, wow, like, they have been so good at seamlessly switching from coverage to coverage. Then you look and he has 38 points and he shot 70%, but like, he had to work for it. It makes his defense harder. Like, he had 1 assist in game 1. Like, that was a big deal too, to be able to slow them enough that the passing options aren't there. And I get that the Bucks missed a million threes. But I also have been – I'm not surprised the way the Pacers are defending him. I'm surprised at like how much it's kind of gooked up the Bucks, right? In a way that maybe it's easy to look back and just say, oh, they missed shots, and they kind of have. But outside of game one, they've been close to average from three, I would say, like on the whole. Obviously, they've had games under. Their average game one was awful. They couldn't make anything, right? But that surprised me. And on the offensive end, like, the Pacers execute. They score a billion points against everybody, but it's been it's like easy. Like all of it, pass here, pass there. They do their thing. They flow. All of a sudden, Pascal Siakam's wide open. It's like and it doesn't matter who's on the floor. It's not just the starters. Like bench guys, yep, no problem. That's not surprising to me because I've seen the Pacers do it. But I eventually thought, oh, this can't keep happening, right? Like it largely has.
It has. And that was one thing for me where I was watching, like, we can't really just continue to keep some of these guys out here on the floor. Like we are seeing what's happening. And I was confused at times with just the rotations, but game one in particular was one where I thought the Pacers did a fantastic job of also denying the Bucks a lot of dribble handoffs. Like they were playing really aggressive over the top too, which I thought really kind of mucked up what the Bucks were doing initially to start the series. And then they kind of had to adjust from there of like, okay, they are aggressively trying to take away our ability to do these triple handoffs, which is a big part of the Bucks offense. So again, kudos to the defensive game plan that the Pacers have had. And even looking at game four, just a little minor tweaks of, okay, in game three, the Bucks did a great job of forcing Haliburton left and just trying to continuously make sure they did that. And the little tweaks of like, okay, well, we're going to set our screens a little bit farther on to the right here to be able to kind of send the way we want them to go. So the Pacers have continued to adjust. And honestly, the Bucks have been out, like the Pacers have outcoached the Bucks as well throughout this game, I thought, or this series so far. So again, we started this episode saying like, is there a chance? Is this series already over? And I'm like, not technically, like there's a chance. You can see the pathway there, but it's going to require more from the coaching staff for the Milwaukee Bucks, pulling the right levers at the right time. It's going to require more from the guys who are actually on the court with their execution. And it's going to be as simple. Sometimes you got to knock down some shots too when you're open. So it's been a series where it hasn't gone exactly how I thought that it would. And I think part of it too is just that this Pacers team has really been operating like a machine. We mentioned the depth of this team, which has surprised me because I too thought they might cut down on that rotation a little bit. But no, even with Benedict Mathurin out in game four, it's like the Pacers didn't really miss a beat.
Oh, great. We'll put in Jarris Walker earlier, and then we'll put in Ben Shepherd and say, no, great. It's fine. Yeah, it was wild. And like the other adjustment from that game that made me almost laugh is like, oh, they made Tyrese Haliburton go left. Great. We'll just set screens to have him go left instead. So we're controlling when he goes left. And it worked perfectly. Like it just, they have done a really good job tactically, I think, in this series. Like I mentioned this before the series. To me, it'd be so easy if you're the team that wins. Like you have to make adjustments every game, but to like do less in terms of changes, because like, oh great, what we just did worked. They've done a good job of like evolving with winning, right? And I think that can be challenging to do in a series. I thought the Bucks would change their starting lineup much faster.
right. But no,
that was shocking to me. To see Prince Kuzma again in game two was like, whoa, that's clearly not what they should be doing.
Yeah, and been seeing it is kind of like, this is not seemingly working here. We need to do something quicker, and it didn't happen quick enough, I don't think, in the series. And now the Bucks are looking at a 3-1 hole. And I know for Bucks fans, with the way that the Pacers Bucks rivalry has been developing, it'll feel bad for Bucks fans to be put out in the first round 2 years in a row by the Pacers if it does go that way. But again, for the Bucks, they got to take it a game at a time. Like, some teams going to continue to make history. Why can't it be you? We've kind of talked about why it couldn't be the Bucks, but there is still a sliver of hope of you win game 5, you get it back to Milwaukee and see what you can do from there. So this game tonight, Tuesday night, early tip-off time too, but
why are they doing this to us? Why are they doing these tip-off times to us?
They're so weird. Like, how do we go from a late 8:30 tip, then we have a 5? Like, it's
clear. I know the answer. It's 2 smaller market teams. But like, come on, I'm not having fun.
Storyline, Tony. The storyline.
Yeah, come on. Don't they want? This is the series of double techs. That's how I will remember the series. Every quarter, there's some interaction where there's a double technical foul. Let the people see it. There's going to be some yapping in game 5. Certainly.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it should be fun. There's one thing I've said about the Bucks is that throughout the season, they haven't given up. It's not been a team that has given
closed
up
with 8 wins in a row. Like they were
Yeah.
not going down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And game 4 was the first time I felt like, man, they felt like they kind of gave up partway through this game. But again, dealing with the blow of losing Dame early on in that one, I think played a big part in that one. So I'm hoping that they do come out with the proper energy and just attack it, because it's been a Bucks team all year that has shown some resiliency. So they need to show it a little bit more to continue to try to have some life in this series as they're on the brink of elimination now.
Well, I sincerely hope the Bucks have an ending they can be proud of, whether that's winning the series or making it a fight or something. I think the Pacers have to feel great about where they're positioned with 2 more home games. They only need to win one of them. They might not even need the second game to do it. Camille, we'll both be talking about game 5, I presume, tomorrow. Where can people find Locked On Bucks? My listeners and your listeners obviously know all these things already.
Yeah, Locked On Bucks is available wherever you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube. Also, if you have not yet signed up for the Locked On Bucks or the Locked On Pacers newsletter, make sure you head over to LockedOnDaily.com and do that. You can't beat a free newsletter in your inbox every day.
You can win prizes right now if you sign up.
Right. So sign up, guys. Newsletter form, podcasting, YouTube. Check out Locked On Bucks. Check out Locked On Pacers. Make sure that you guys are tapped in, because the local analysis that you're able to get, I love these crossover episodes, because it's man, I get to actually talk to somebody who watches this team all the time.
I listen to Locked On Bucks on my drive home today. I have been all series, but of course I did today too, to hear about the sad Damian Lillard news, which I'm sure will be a very prominent topic in Bucks land when the series is over. As you guys mentioned, it just sucks, man. I should have got my Dame jersey out of the closet. It's a Trailblazers one, but still, it just sucks. Also, people are burying him too fast. I think he can be decent post injury. Anyway, that's not related to this. We don't need to keep talking. Locked On Bucks listeners, you can find Locked On Pacers wherever you listen to Locked On Bucks. Camille's on Twitter at Camille_Monet, correct?
All one word. So Camille Monet all together.
That's an L for me. I'm on there at Tony Aries. Thank you all for listening. We'll both see you after game 5 on our respective podcasts.